The lights flash behind you, and the officer is at your window. You are seconds away from making this stop much worse. Have you ever talked too much during a stop? Yes or no? You get pulled over. Your heart starts pounding. Then the officer asks one simple question. Where are you headed tonight? That question sounds harmless. It sounds normal. It sounds like small talk. But here is what most people do wrong. They answer like they're talking to a neighbor. They start giving a full story. They name places, people, times, and reasons. This is exactly where things fall apart. The stop stops being simple. Now the officer has more details. More details create more follow-up questions. You say you're going home. Then you say you just left a friend's place. Then you mention a late dinner. Nothing you said may be illegal. But now your story can be picked apart. If your timing sounds off, that can raise more suspicion. If you look nervous, that can raise more suspicion too. Most drivers have no idea this is even a thing. They think honesty means saying everything. That is not how this works on the side of the road. More words can create more problems. A simple trip home can turn into a long stop. A long stop can turn into questions you were never ready for. And the worst part is this. Most people talk too much because they want the stop to end faster. But too much talking often does the opposite. It gives the stop more fuel. I have studied real traffic stop situations for a long time. I've gone through body cam footage, court records, and real driver encounters. I have seen the same mistake happen again and again. Good people talk themselves into a mess because nobody taught them what to say instead. So let's make this simple. This is not about being rude. This is not about acting tough. This is about control. It is about staying calm and not feeding the stop. You do not win by sounding clever. You do not win by sounding innocent. You win by being polite, brief, and steady. You keep your answers tight. You do not volunteer extra facts. You do not guess. You do not fill silence because it feels awkward. That silence feels scary at first. I get it. But silence is often safer than a long story. A short answer gives less room for trouble. And one more thing matters here. Never lie. Do not make up a fake destination. Do not invent a fake reason for driving. A bad answer can hurt you. A fake answer can hurt you even more. Your goal is not to trick anyone. Your goal is to stop helping the stop grow bigger. That is the real skill. That is what most drivers never learn. Here is the first move. I call this one the closed door. When the officer asks where you're going, most people swing the door wide open. They start talking fast. They try to sound friendly, calm, and innocent all at once. That is the trap. The more you explain, the more there is to question. Maybe you say you're going home from dinner. Then you mention a bar across town. Then you say you only stopped there for a minute. Now the officer has a timeline. Now the officer has a location. Now the officer has something to compare against how you look, smell, or sound. You may have done nothing wrong, but you just gave the stop a whole new lane to drive in. Say exactly this. Officer, I prefer not to discuss my travel plans. That line is calm. It is respectful. It does not sound angry or strange. It also does something very important. It closes the door without slamming it. You're not arguing. You are not refusing to cooperate with basic traffic duties. You're simply not volunteering extra personal details. That matters. A traffic stop is usually about the driving issue first. Your travel story is often extra information. Extra information can be harmless. It can also be used to keep the stop alive. This phrase protects you from your own nerves. When people panic, they start rambling. A memorized line keeps you from doing that. It gives you something solid to stand on. And if the officer repeats the question, do not panic. Just calmly repeat the same line once more. Do not add new facts the second time. Do not try to soften it with a long excuse. Short beats clever every time. Calm beats chatty every time. Keep the door closed and keep your ground. Now this next one is where most people completely fall apart. I call it the need to know check. A lot of drivers do not know what they must answer, so they answer everything. That is how normal conversation turns into a fishing trip. A fishing trip is when the officer keeps looking for more. The question sounds casual, but you still need to know if it is required. That is where this move helps. It slows the moment down. It also puts the focus back on what you actually have to do. Most drivers never think to do that. They think asking a question will make things worse, but a calm question can protect you. Say exactly this. Am I required to answer that question? This line works because it is clear and respectful. You are not being hostile. You are asking for the rule. That changes the tone. Now the officer has to deal with the question itself. You're no longer just filling the silence. This also helps you avoid guessing. Guessing is dangerous when you are nervous. When people are stressed, they talk fast and think slow. That is when mistakes happen. A simple line like this buys you a second. That second matters more than you think. If the officer says yes, stay calm and follow lawful instructions. If the officer says no, you have learned something important. You now know the question may be optional. Optional means you may not have to answer it. That one word can change how you handle the rest of the stop. It keeps you from giving away free information. You do not have to sound smart. You just have to sound steady. A calm question puts you back in the driver's seat. Are you seeing how much stronger you sound when you know the right lines? Here is the next move, and this one can save you from a stop that keeps growing. I call it the lane marker. Sometimes the stop drifts. It starts with speeding, a broken light, or rolling through a sign. Then suddenly you're talking about where you came from, who you were with, what you drank, and why you were out late. This is exactly where things fall apart for many drivers. The stop moves away from the reason you were pulled over. When that happens, you need a calm way to pull it back. Not with attitude, not with a speech. Say exactly this. Is this related to the reason you stopped me? That line is powerful because it makes the moment narrow again. It asks a simple question. It reminds everyone what started the stop. It keeps things from spreading all over the place. Quick side note here. Everything in this video is for education only. This is not legal advice, and I am not your lawyer. If you are dealing with a serious case, talk to a licensed attorney in your state. Now back to the line, because this one matters. When you ask this, you're not refusing to cooperate. You are asking if the question ties to the traffic issue. That matters because random chatting can turn into extra trouble. A stop should not grow just because you felt awkward. And this line also helps your brain. It gives you a script when your nerves are rising. Instead of blurting out a life story, you ask one clean question. That keeps you from wandering into bad ground. If the officer says yes, stay calm and listen. If the officer avoids the question, that tells you something too. It tells you the stop may be drifting. That is your cue to stay brief. You do not need to debate. You just need to keep the lane clear. When you pull the stop back to its reason, you stop the drift. Now this next one is simple, but it is huge. I call it the paper shield. A lot of drivers think they need to keep talking while they search for documents. They start chatting to fill the silence. They say where they are going. They explain why they seem nervous. They start apologizing for things nobody asked about. That is a mistake. Your job in that moment is not to tell a story. Your job is to handle the traffic basics. That means your license, registration, and proof of insurance if your state requires it. When you stay focused on the documents, you stop yourself from spilling extra details. That alone can change the whole stop. Say exactly this. I can provide my license, registration, and insurance. This phrase works because it is practical. It shows cooperation without opening new doors. You're doing what drivers are commonly expected to do during a stop. You are showing you understand the basic process. And notice what the line does not do. It does not add your destination. It does not explain your night. It does not offer extra facts for free. That is why I call it the paper shield. It keeps the moment centered on the traffic task. It also helps if you are nervous. Nervous people often think silence looks bad, so they talk, and then they talk more. But moving calmly through the basics often looks better than fast talking. It looks controlled. If you need to reach into a pocket or glove box, say so plainly first. Keep your hands where they can be seen. Then get the documents and stop there. No speech, no extra story. Basic cooperation is enough. You do not owe a running commentary of your life. Handle the papers and protect the rest. Do you know someone who drives every day and needs this today? And will you share this video right now? Here is the last move, and this one is the closer. I call it the exit line. Sometimes the officer keeps asking questions after the traffic part feels done. That is when many drivers freeze. They think they have to stay in conversation mode. So they keep answering, even when the warning or ticket is finished. That is dangerous. A stop that should be ending can stay alive because you keep feeding it. You need a clean way to find out where you stand. You do not guess, you ask. Say exactly this. Am I free to go? This line matters because it clears up the moment. It tells you if the stop is over. If the answer is yes, you leave calmly. If the answer is no, then you know you are still being kept there. That word matters. It tells you whether you are free to leave or not. And once you know that, you can choose your next words more carefully. You stop floating in uncertainty. This line also keeps you from lingering in casual talk. Casual talk can feel harmless, but harmless talk can still turn into damaging talk. That is why this closer is so important. If the officer says you are not free to go, stay calm. Do not argue on the roadside. If more questions keep coming, go back to short lines. Use the closed door line again. Use the need to know check again. Stay polite and do not start explaining your whole night. And if the stop becomes serious, that is when you need real legal help from a lawyer in your state. But in that first moment, this line gives you something powerful. It gives you clarity. When you know whether you can leave, you stop guessing and start thinking straight. A clear exit question keeps you calm, smart, and in control. So let's lock this in. When the destination question comes, do not answer with a full story and hand over extra details. Use the closed door line and keep your travel plans private unless you truly must answer. Use the need to know check so you stop giving away information just because the question sounded casual. Use the lane marker to pull the stop back to the actual traffic. Reason when the talk starts drifting. Use the paper shield to focus on your documents and basic cooperation instead of nervous chatter. Use the exit line to find out if the stop is over, so you do not keep feeding a conversation that should be done. You now know something that most drivers will never know. You know how fast an innocent answer can grow into a bigger problem. You also know how to stay calm without being rude. That is real training. You are not helpless in that situation anymore. You're not stuck guessing. You have short lines. You have a plan. You have control. Here's my challenge to you. Practice these 5 lines out loud tonight. Say them until they feel normal in your mouth. Then if you ever get pulled over, use at least one. Come back and tell me what happened in the comments. I want to hear which line helped you most. Stay calm, stay brief, stay in control.